joining us here. Many thanks for joining us here. This is a news on one National Passes Amendment 2022 budget approves the 965.42 billion naira borrowing. And non-academic staff union of education, and the associated institutions and the senior staff association during indefinite strike nationwide. The Nigerian Labour Congress asks for the government to resolve impasse with ASU, NASU, and order in 21 days. And on the foreign scene, the U.S. President Joe supporting of genocide in Ukraine. There was confusion at the Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in River State, following claims by 32 aspirants that the state chapter of the party refused to give them expression of interest in nomination forms after they paid for the. But the party countered the allegations, saying there was no record that the aggrieved aspirant paid money into his account. The aspirants who brandished their bank draft beseeched the Secretariat this morning, vowed to remain there until they were issued their forms. They complained that despite satisfying the requirements of the party, the PDP leadership refused to give them their forms. One of the aspirants for the River State House of Assembly, Klikanwobo, said having paid for the forms and obtained their bank drafts, the party was expected to give them their forms. They said the protesters were vying for the House of Assembly and National Assembly elections. He wondered why the party officials were not ordered to give them their forms, especially how the purchase deadline was expired on Thursday. Meanwhile, Governor arrangement for the consensus of presidential candidates in the People's Democratic Party. Wike described the consensus arrangement as rubbish and fake news used to deceive PDP members. Speaking with PDP delegates and members in Calabar, the Cross River State capital, the presidential aspirant said consensus could only hamper through equity justice. He recalled telling of former Senate he would not support that he would not support a consensus arrangement.
President has said people to talk to him. That is well.
OneTV network visited some communities in River State where residents in readiness to mark this year's Easter.
The situation is that we are pleading, as the case is now. We are just begging the court. We don't have usher, and there is nowhere they prepare where they body. We don't have any enough, and we are begging. We are begging the government to come and help us. The government should help us because our governor said that we want River State to be clean. He wants River State to be clean. We are begging on them. Let them come and help. We are suffering from this death of 18.
You can see that selling food stuff here. Flies there and here, smell, outdoor. No, it's awful. We don't need it. We are asking for government.
Our River State Police Command has deployed 352 personnel across the state to provide adequate the 2022 Easter celebrations. In a statement signed by the acting spokesperson of the command, DSP Grace Riga Akoko The command said the Commissioner of Police, Friday Ebuka, ordered the deployment to worship centers, celebrations of venue, and other resorts. The statement added that all area commanders, divisional police officers, and tactical team commanders should undertake a strict supervision to stop mischief makers from causing any form of mayhem. The command urged members of the public to be riding and continue fighting and criminality is by reporting any suspicious person and movement as he reassured the command's commitment to providing security, maintenance of law and order in protecting life properties in the state. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Rivers State Command has intercepted and impounded 8 trucks conveying suspected illegally refined automotive gas oil along Mbiama, a border town between Bayelsa and Delta State. The trucks were on transit out of River State. In a preliminary investigation, report, it was gathered that the suspects presented a fake document and beat several security checkpoints until they were apprehended by anti-vandal squad of the NSCDC River State Command. In a press conference at command headquarters, the state commandant Abu Abdul Tamboa intimated the newsmen that the arrests were made possible following a tip-off. He stated that intelligence gathering reveals that some unscrupulous economic saboteurs are using a call to action order which has already been executed to perpetuate these nefarious dealings. The state commandant further affirmed that the command has taken delivery of the gunboat donated by the River State government under the amiable leadership of Governor Nyesom Wike. Now, residents of River State expressed displeasure over the seeming indifference of River State Waste Management Agency in evacuating the disturbing heap of refuse that littered the state capital. OneTV correspondent reports that the residents raised serious concern about health implications.
In the streets of Port Harcourt metropolis, citizens complained bit about the unbearable state of refuse dump littered around the state. This situation is becoming unbearable for citizens as this state endangers their health also.
Some people say the abandoned coming to buy money is so smelling everywhere that all our market is polluted. So we don't know what to do, and it's like government are forgotten this side as a river state. They should come and be packing these dustbins. Since they are abandoned the dustbin and they even stop us not to throw waste bin. There is nowhere, no help. Everywhere is polluted.
It's absolutely wrong. For more than 1 year now, this thing has been here since last year. It has not been easy with us. If you look around, you see that nobody is even. There are people that pay for a place like this, but nobody is staying here again. This is where I run my salon, but I have things around because of this trash. So we are not comfortable. We are not comfortable at all. This is a health hazard, my sister.
Take car will pass here now. It will mess here. If it's not nose mask, we can't stay here like that. Some other people that endure it, they always pack out from this shop.
Another setback looms in the nation's education sector, as the Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Associated Institutions and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities threatened a total and indefinite strike. The Joint Action Committee of NASU and SANU announced this in a communique amid the ongoing warning strike by the unions. There is pain that the decision has become necessary following the government's failure to address the issue that led to the warning strike. Faulted government for failing to implement an agreement it freely entered into with the unions. They also called on Nigerian leaders to prevail on the government to honor the agreement to avoid a total breakdown of institutional harmony in the universities and inter-university centers. Similarly, the Nigerian Labour Congress has intervened in the lingering disagreement between the federal government and the unions that has crippled activities in the nation's universities. As a result, the Congress issued a 21-day ultimatum to the government to resolve the issues with members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Associated Institutions, Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, and National Association of Academic Technologists. NLC's demand was contained in a communique jointly signed on Wednesday in Abuja, the nation's capital, by the NLC President Ayuba Waba and the Congress General Secretary Emmanuel Obu-Aja. Following a meeting with the leaders of the affected unions, Waba expressed serious concerns over the failure of the government to honor its 2009 renegotiated agreement with the union. He stated that after the expiration of the ultimatum, the end to decide on the next line of action should the federal government fail to resolve the impasse within the period. And still talking on education, and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, the Warrior Zone, has declared the proliferation of by federal and state government inquiries the rationale behind establishing new universities when existing ones were being starved of funds. Addressing reporters of the ASU Secretariat for Nnamdi Azikiwe University Oka, ASU Owere Zona Coordinator Ozo Oye Biama accused the federal government of politicizing the university education. He alleged that the new universities recently announced by the federal government were for 2023 election campaigns. Onyebinama, however, said the body was making effort to ensure the National Universities Commission (NUC) reviewed its act to empower the Commission to control the rate of establishing universities by government. Recall that the federal government recently announced the establishment of 6 private universities across the country, bringing the total universities in Nigeria to about 176, both public and private. And in other news, the lead pastor of Dynamis International Church and his wife, Pastor Pauline H. and Becky Eneche, have broken their silence on the death of the late popular gospel musician Osinachi Nwachukwu. The cleric said he knew nothing about domestic abuse that may have led to the singer's death. The Dynamis pastor said that the sister and her husband had complained that the late singer had chest pain during a meeting with him for them, adding that when the issue persisted, he directed them to the hospital to ascertain the real cause of the pain. Also claimed that they only got to know about the alleged domestic violence she suffered after demise. Osinachi was the lead singer at the Abuja headquarters of the church before demise. Many have alleged that she was a victim of domestic abuse with her husband, Peter Nwachukwu, who is believed to have assaulted her several times, leading to her death. You're watching the news on OneTV network. We'll go for a break. We'll be back with more report. Do stay with us. In more news now, at least 29 people have been confirmed killed in a boat accident at Gidan Megana community in Danji Maye district in Sokoto state. The incident occurred in Shagari local government area of the state. The victims, who have since been buried according to Islamic rite, were part of the 35 passengers who boarded the boat to cross over a dam in search of firewood for commercial purpose. Witnesses said that the boat capsized while convening the second batch of the team, and 29 persons comprising 6 boys and 23 women died in the process, and 6 other passengers were reported to have survived the incident after a search and rescue operation by local divers supported by officials of the local government. And meanwhile, Governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwa, has visited the community and condoled with the people over the death of their loved ones. He appealed to the people to accept the incident as well as the will of God and prayed for the repose of the soul of the deceased. 106 persons have so far been buried following the attack on communities in Plateau State, according to official reports. This is according to the chairman of Kanama local government area of Plateau State, Tayabu Gagi, who gave an update about the renewed violence in some parts of the north central state. He also said there are more than 16 people hospitalized. According to him, the attack have reminded hundreds of people homeless, just as he explained the number of since the IDP has increased. The Kanwan Council boss, who called for more protection for the people, lamented the recent attacks. A member representing, members of the House of Representatives have again voiced their displeasure over continued killing by bandit and terrorist groups in the country. They therefore called on the federal government to engage the services of machineries to supplement the effort of security agencies in containing the situation. In addition to this, the lawmakers renewed their call on President Muhammadu Buhari to declare a state of emergency in the security sector. They took the decision during the plenary of lower chamber of the National Assembly in Abuja, the nation's capital. This decision followed debate on another set of 2 motions bordering on the recent attack by bandits and killer herdsmen in Plateau and Benue State, respectively. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari will on Tuesday next week be meeting with the service chiefs. The meeting comes amid the increased security challenges in the country. The president had earlier on Thursday presided over a meeting of the Council of State at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Discussions at the meeting were set to be centered on the economy and security of the country. Then Buhari on Thursday hosted some former leaders of Nigeria who, when he presided over a Council of State meeting at the Aso Villa in Abuja, the nation's capital. In attendance were ex-heads of state Yakubu Gawan and Abdusalami Abutan. The meeting discussed issues of national interest, including the state of economic insecurity and government efforts. This is the Global News on OneTV Network. We'll go for a break. We'll be back in just a moment. Just stay with us. there. And the business news tonight, we report that the House of Representatives has approved a 4 trillion naira for subsidy on premium motors, very popularly known as petrol. The approval was a super to a request by President Muhammadu Buhari for revision of the 2021 fiscal framework. In forwarding the request for the revision of the medium-term expenditure framework, has to approve an additional 3.557 trillion naira in addition to the 442.72 billion naira provided in the 2022 budget for sub. The House also approved the reduction in crude oil production quota from 1.8 million barrel per day to 1.6 million barrel per day and a $73 oil price benchmark. The House also approved a cut in the provision for federally funded upstream projects being implemented by the federal government by about 200 billion naira from 352.80 billion naira. And similarly, the National Assembly has passed amendments to the 2022 Appropriation Act and 2022 Fiscal Framework, which raised the deficit in the federal government budget by 965.42 billion naira to 7.35 trillion naira. The Senate and the House of Representatives respectively considered and adopted report on the amendment bill at the plenary on Thursday based on the request by the federal parliament to also approve a new oil price benchmark of $73 per barrel and new oil production volume of 1.600 million per day and a petrol subsidy of 4 trillion naira. Tesla chief Elon Musk has launched a host to take over bid for Twitter, the best and final offer, and that he is the only person capable of unlocking the full potential of the platform. Musk offered $54.20 a share, which values the social media firm at $43.4 billion in filing with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Twitter's board said it would carefully review what it's termed Musk unsolicited, non-binding fora and decided on a course of action that was in the best interest of the company and all Twitter stakeholders. Musk latest move towards Twitter comes just days after he turned down a seat on the board following his acquisition of a 9.2% stake in the microblogging platform. The Director General and Chief Executive Officer, National Office for Technology Acquisitions and Promotion, Dr. Dan Azumini Ibrahim, has disclosed that the federal government, through Executive Order 5, has retained foreign professionals. Ibrahim added that only foreign professionals with skills in the Ministry of Interior. He said he has addressed on the public presentation of indigenous software for the implementation of Executive Order 5. Recall that Executive Order 5 was signed into law by President Muhammadu Buhari on February 2nd, 2018 to protect local content in public procurement. You're still watching the Global News on OneTV Network. Still ahead, U.S. President Joe Biden accused Putin force on genocide. A reminder of our top stories for tonight. The National Assembly passes amended 2022 budget approves a 965.42 billion naira borrowing. A non-academic staff union of education and associated institutions and senior staff association of Nigeria University indefinite strike action nationwide. The Nigerian Labour Congress asked the federal government to resolve impasse with ASU, NASU and others in 21 days. And on the foreign scene now, U.S. President Joe Biden has for the first time accused Vladimir Putin's forces of committing genocide in Ukraine, where Russia is intensifying its campaign to take the strategic port city of Mariupol. Biden's accusation comes as Moscow already accused by the West of widespread atrocities against civilians. It's feared to be readying a massive onslaught across Ukraine's east. The Washington one might involve chemical weapons. President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has reportedly accused Moscow of attempted genocide, swiftly responded by tweeting and barding true words of a true leader. Joe Biden had as a war criminal as the discovery of hundreds of civilians reportedly killed in Bucha outside Kyiv at a global revolution. And now some sports news. Athletics Integrity Union claimed that former Commonwealth and African 10,000-meter champion Joyce Chepkiri has been banned for 4 years for doping violation. The 33-year-old first previously suspended in July 2019 for discrepancies in her athletic biosport. Chepkiri, who won the 2014, the 24th Commonwealth 10,000 meters gold in Glasgow, has appealed her case to the Court of Arbitration for Sports, claiming the abnormalities in her APB were due to medication and her diet. Has upheld an appeal filed by the AIU and banned Chepkiri for 4 years from June 28. And just before we go, let's take you through 12 stories that made the headlines in the bulletin for tonight. The Assembly has passed the Amendment 2022 the National Assembly has passed the amended 2022 budget and approved the 965.42 billion naira borrowing. Non-academic staff union of education and associated institutions and the senior staff association of Nigerian universities have threatened the indefinite strike nationwide. The Nigerian Labour Congress has asked the federal government to SANU and others in 21 days. And also brought you a report that U.S. President Joe Biden has accused Putin's forces of genocide in Ukraine. And that's the OneTV Network Global News tonight. I am Chituga Diamond. Many thanks for watching and goodbye. Good night.